Hello and welcome to Orbit International Youth Talk Show. Now this talk show is a youth space and forum where young people get to share their challenges, hopes, aspirations and dreams. Now today we're with a phenomenal lady and her name is Upenyu Makoni, and she has been able to organize TED Talks in Zimbabwe and in Harare. TED Talks is an international platform, and I'm sure most of you know it. It's an international platform where people come together and share ideas and share experiences. And Upenyu realized that in Zimbabwe, we have so much more to give and we have more experiences to share and ideas to share. And therefore, she decided to bring it to Harare and to Zimbabwe so Zimbabweans and young Zimbabweans can share their experiences. It's a platform where young people can network and create synergies. Welcome, Upenyu.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Okay, so I know a lot of people are saying, TED, what does TED really stand for?
So TED stands for Technology, Entertainment and Design, which are the big themes of the main TED conference, the one based in New York.
Okay.
The conference started out in California in 1984. It was a closed conference. Only the elite of the elite, the richest of the richest, attended this conference. And then I think in the early 2000s, they were like, maybe this is something that we need to share with the world.
Yes.
And so then you found TED growing and becoming an online. They started to share their talks online for free, and it grew as a brand and it grew bigger and bigger. In 2009, they started the TEDx program, which is what I'm part of, which is where they license local organizers to bring the TED experience to local communities.
I see, in different countries.
Yeah.
Okay, so TED in Zimbabwe started in 2011.
Yes.
I mean, why did you decide to start organizing them here back in Zimbabwe?
So it didn't actually, I was licensed in 2010.
Okay.
And I held on to the license because I was so scared to do it for the first time.
Yes.
For almost a year. And actually, I think when we organized the conference, we had one day until the license was going to run out. Because at the time, and which is part of why I then decided to organize them, it was, I don't know if anybody remembers 2008. So I worked I worked as an activist, and I was in good governance and human rights and freedom of speech and freedom of the media. And at that time, people were I work as a journalist, so I used to interview people, and people were just so afraid to tell you how they felt, what they thought, what they wanted, what they hoped and dreamed. And then I met this amazing woman called Eleanor Alfred, who had been displaced by Operation Murambachina. And she lived out in Hopley, and she had taken in 20 orphans who had also been displaced, and they couldn't find their parents. And I interviewed her, and I was like, wow, people like this should have more people, they should have more people than me to talk to. And I really wanted to create platforms for people who were making change and who were doing something other than, because a lot of the time people just complain, Zimbabwe, this, that, and the next thing, But I wanted to create platforms for people who were at home and thinking to themselves, what can I do today? And they were making something to make it better for other people. Okay.
So what sort of impact have you been able to make ever since 2011 through the talks?
Well, in numbers, we have had 16 talks. We've grown from organizing just the TED conference to Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is attended by roughly 500 to 750 people throughout the whole week. We've had companies form at our conferences. I mean, mind you, we've only held 2. But we've had companies form, we've had partnerships come together, we've had people sit down and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. How can we collaborate and make this thing work? Which for me is really exciting, which is the point of the conference.
Okay, so you say that this space had to be a space that was different from the usual development or NGO sort of circles. How have you been able to make it more different?
By not making it a part of that. So in development, we have a very defined way of speaking.
Yes.
About problems and about solutions. We have very set parameters for how things are supposed to be, how it's supposed to work, what progress is measured. You're talking to me about impact. That's a development word, right?
I'm a development practitioner, so yeah.
But if we wanted to take the space not so much away from, but to make it more of a people-driven, people-centered sort of thing, because it's easy to have a development conversation and then walk away from it and not do anything.
Yes.
And what I wanted was for somebody to come, feel inspired, talk to the person they're sitting next to, meet with them on Monday and be like, right, Tuesday we're doing something amazing.
Yes.
And so to do that, we had to stop using development practitioners as speakers.
Okay.
So we're talking to people like George, who spoke at the last conference.
Yeah.
But he's inventing things. And the things that drive him is not because there's this big development problem or he has a master's in international development, but because actually his dad had a problem punching the numbers on a phone, and he wanted to solve that problem. Because I think that's what drives the average person.
Yes.
Right? My mom is struggling with something. I want to solve that problem for my mom. So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
We had Ignatius Mabasa, who's a storyteller. Something as simple as that.
Yes.
He's telling stories.
And he's telling them in Shona.
Yes, which I think is amazing because I personally believe Shona is a dying language.
Yes.
So we wanted to have people on stage who were not development practitioners, because a lot of the time when it's only that conversation, it doesn't then percolate to the people who need to be a part of it.
Okay, so it's interesting you talk about these spaces building progressive conversations and to also help us realize who we are as a people and where we're going. Are you sort of trying to say in a way that as Zimbabweans, we have a sort of identity crisis? We're not sure exactly who we are or where we're going.
I think we're still figuring it out. I mean, we're not that old.
Yes.
In the history and the timeline of the world, we're not even 40 years old yet.
Yes. Yes.
America has had 200 years to figure itself out. The UK has had 500 odd years to figure itself out. All of these other people who are very certain of what their vision is as a country, what their aspirations are as a country, have had hundreds of years to figure this out. So they have colonized us and told us who we are. You know what I mean? But I think we are not having that conversation by and between ourselves.
Yes.
We have it in the development spaces. What is Zimbabwe? What's the vision? But when we sit down together like this, are we talking about what's our vision for Zimbabwe? Where does Zimbabwe need to be in 200 years? Or are we just thinking about, but next month maybe the Chinese are going to build us a road? You know, so I think we need to start having more of these conversations. Where do women fit into our society? This is the thing that I'm on lately about women. Where do women fit into our society? Is there space for women to lead in the society? And you know what? We may not like the answers that we get, but then once we have answered ourselves, then we can work on the things that we don't like.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Upenyu. And you know what? You can do it. And I'm sure you'll be able to achieve so much more.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming through. And we wish you all the best in September. Orbit will definitely be there at one of your TED Talks. Well, after the short break, we'll meet a young man who's only 25 years of age, but he is a creative director and he is one of the initiators of the Global Shapers Awards for young people. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. Now, just before the break, we were with a young lady. Her name is Upenyu Makoni, who is a lady who has created a platform where Zimbabweans can come together and share their experiences and ideas so we can see a way forward. And she is hosting these TEDx talks in Harare. Now, right now, we're with a young man who's only 25 years of age, and his name is Makaya. He's a creative director, and he's also one of the organizers for the Global Shapers Awards that happened earlier on this year. Paul is celebrating young people in a phenomenal way, and he is here to tell us why he decided to be part of this initiative. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm good.
So, you're 25 and you're like all over the place, and you're looking all sharp and everything.
Thank you very much.
I mean, let's talk about you being a creative director first.
Yes.
You talk about rebranding Africa,
Yes.
which I think is so phenomenal, because we definitely need a lot of rebranding.
Definitely.
I mean, why do you think that Africa needs rebranding, and including Zimbabwe?
Yes. So just to take you back a bit, we started a business called Begast House, which is a digital design agency. So what a digital design agency means, it's an advertising agency, but in the digital space, because we believe that's where the world is going.
Yes.
And we want to position ourselves in that space as the digital people, because we are young, we are millennials.
Yes.
And who better be in the digital space than us, the young guys?
Okay.
And then secondly, our purpose as a business is to rebrand Africa through the brands that we work for, because we're an ad agency.
Yes.
So we target clients, we approach them, we propose our campaign ideas, and then through the work that we do together, the small things, we are slowly rebranding Africa. And our vision is to go into each and every African country and repeat that process.
Yes.
And through that engagement, we impact the societies, the communities that our clients are working in. So that is the vision and that is the goal.
Well, I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully you can rebrand Orbit at some point. Okay, so let's talk about the Global Shapers Awards.
Yes.
Where did the idea come from?
All right. So the Global Shapers is an initiative of the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum, as you might know, is a body where world leaders and business leaders meet up and discuss the world problems that the world is facing. So they have developed small groups in each country, in a number of countries, called Global Shapers, who are young leaders who are having making impact in their societies, where they gather and find problems and provide solutions. So one of the problems that we noticed was that as Zimbabweans, when celebrating the youth in particular, the figures like 70% of the population are young people, and these people are not being appreciated. So that was like an obvious problem that was there. And the best way that we found to start off this process of celebrating young people was the awards. So the awards are not just the normal awards where we give someone a trophy or certificate, but we go above and beyond by connecting them to a society of other young leaders around the world.
Which is brilliant.
Exactly. And we're excited about the new dispensation. We are talking about Zimbabwe is open for business, and we are also running with that mission, because all the winners that won the awards are going to shape Africa, an event where young leaders across Africa are going to meet and discuss problems and hopefully start working together. And so that's one of the things that we are going for.
Okay, so let's talk about the planning phase, because I know the awards were earlier on during the year.
Yes.
What were some of the challenges that you faced as young people trying to make these awards happen?
Yes. So one of the major technical challenges that we're facing while we're organizing the awards was that young people are they have not officiated their businesses.
Right.
A lot of young people are doing great things and having a lot of impact, but their things are not documented, or they haven't registered their companies. And for us to create credible awards, we needed the test clearances, for example. We needed to see if the company was registered, for the credibility of the awards. So those were some of the technical challenges that we're facing, and the obvious problems of sponsorship, etc. But we thrive on challenges, and finally the awards were a success.
Okay, so how did you choose your criteria?
Yes. So the criteria, we first of all had sectors that we were going to award young people for. After that, we went and worked with associations or companies that are in each specific sector. For example, if a nominee, we wanted nominees in the agricultural sector, we'd go to an association that oversees that certain body, and then they would give us suggestions on what things we should look at, because hey, we can't put everything on the same level. We can't have an entrepreneur in the energy sector and use that criteria for agriculture sector. So we need to tailor make the questions or the things that we're looking for in each sector, and also taking into consideration that these are young people who are still growing. So we wanted to look at the potential. So our overarching thing that we were looking for was innovation, because youth is all about innovation, and we believe in innovation. Zimbabwe can be made a better country, and we can reach our goals. So that was the main thing. So each sector had a different association that was giving us the criteria to look for and the names of suggestions. Above and beyond that, we opened up nominations from young people across the country. Through the papers, we called for nominees in the papers, on social media, all the platforms on TV. ZBC in particular, calling for young people to submit the people who they thought were doing great things.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's go back to what you were saying about young people innovating. Do you still feel that we have a long way to go as young people in terms of actually thinking outside the box and being creative and innovative?
I believe that young people have already started innovating, but they're not giving the platform, as I've said.
Exactly.
For example, there's a young man who's into mining. He's called a Makorokoza, but he saw a gap where his peers didn't have equipment to mine. So for example, there's a young man who was in the mining sector, who was started off as a Makorokoza, but then saw a gap where other miners did not have equipment to use to mine. So he developed an engineering company to start selling mining equipment to his peers. So that is the kind of small innovations, but that have great impact to his society. So that's what we're looking for in terms of innovation.
So what are the future plans for Global Shapers Awards?
So the Global Shapers Awards are now annual. And we are going to continue to push that agenda through the international body of World Economic Forum on how best we can support the winners. For example, all the winners that won this year's awards are going to sit on a panel on the Shape Africa event that is going to be held in May, which is a very big platform where major investors and businessmen and politicians across the continent are going to be present. So it's their chance to shine and shine a light on Zimbabwean young people. Thank
you so much, Paul, for coming through, and we wish you all the best in the Global Shapers Awards, and obviously we'll be following you and seeing the progress you guys are making. After the short break, we'll have a young man, and his name is Simbarashe Nyamadzawo, who is only 30 years of age, and he's a motivational speaker, he's an author, he's the founder of Gumiguru Incorporated, that annually lists 40 young people who are under the age of 30 who are making a difference in Zimbabwe and who are emerging leaders. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. Now, just before the break, we're with Paul Makaya, a young man who is 25 years of age. He's a creative director, and he has been able to be part of an initiative whereby young people are celebrated through the Global Shapers Awards, which happened earlier on this year. Now, right now, we're with Simba Nyamadzawo, another young man who's celebrating young people through his company called Gumiguru Incorporated, which is a leadership, motivation, and consultancy company. And he has invested more than 10,000 hours in helping young entrepreneurs all over Zimbabwe to help them find a way forward. He's also a motivational speaker and an author. And right now, we'll be talking to him about his initiative of the Gumiguru 40 under 30, celebrating young people and young emerging leaders in Zimbabwe. And we'll also talk about his book a little bit later on. Welcome, Simba.
Welcome, Yuni.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Fine. So, why did you choose to be a motivational speaker?
I believe my assignment is inspiration. I want to spend my life inspiring others, building leaders, and serving my generation. It gives me satisfaction when I hear people testifying that I helped them or my advice to them is working.
Okay. It's interesting. You've invested so much time, in helping, young people, and to make a difference in their lives. I mean, what do you think is lacking amongst us as young people?
In my opinion, the greatest need of emerging leaders is mentorship. What we need are mentors, people who have worked the path we want to walk and give us advice on how we can also go in the same path and succeed. What we need is mentorship.
Okay, so we are lacking mentors.
We are lacking mentors.
Is it because we don't want the mentors, or the mentors are actually just a few that are actually doing things that will actually make an impact in our country?
It's both ways. On the other end, young people are not taking the initiative to approach like the people who have made it in life. Then on the other end, those who have made it in life, they are not investing their time in young people. Like on both ends, no one is intentional and deliberate.
All right, okay. So let's talk about the list that you made, the Gumiguru Incorporated, the 40 under 30 young leaders who are making a difference. Why did you decide to make this an annual list? Okay,
three reasons. The first one is we want to formally celebrate and acknowledge people who are movers and shakers in whatever they are doing. Then the second reason is we want to create visibility for those people. Like when we first made the list 3 years ago, when we listed the advocate Makaya, in as much as she was doing great work, like a lot of people didn't know about her. Madam Boss, she was on that inaugural list. A lot of people didn't know her. But now, Madam Boss is a household name. Advocate Makaya, she's a household name. So I want to create visibility for people who are movers and shakers. Then on the other end, we want to motivate other people, young people, so that they can learn from those who are movers and shakers, and hopefully they can become part of the list in the following years.
Okay. Now, do you believe that as young people we're not celebrated enough in Zimbabwe?
Sure. Like our culture is Shona people, as Zimbabweans, we don't believe in young people. Without going political. We do not celebrate young people enough. We don't believe in young people. That's why we decided to come up with this list. That's why we decided again to come up with the Global Shapers Youth Award, so that we can celebrate young people.
Oh yes, Simba is also part of the Global Shapers Youth Awards. Now let's talk about your book, Tatenda. Tell me a little bit about the book.
See, it's a unique book. I believe it's the first of its kind in Zimbabwe. It's a motivational book, but inspirational, with a contemporary theme. It's an intention to motivate other people.
Okay. Now the story of Tatenda is of a young man who grew up in Lomboshava, and he grew up in difficult circumstances, but eventually he becomes a millionaire. You seem to be trying to give hope to young people, especially, that it doesn't matter what situation or circumstance you're coming from, but you can still achieve. Are you trying to give that sort of hope to young people?
In Zimbabwe, we're at a time where a lot of people have lost hope because of political unrest, social unrest, economic recession. A lot of people have lost hope. So in that book, I want to give an average person hope.
Okay. So it's interesting that at the end of the book, Tatenda is having an interview with a journalist, and he's now a millionaire, and and he's successful. And the journalist asks, if you were to start your life all over again, what would you do differently? And I love the answer Tatenda gave. Tatenda says, I would learn financial literacy at an early age. If I had known better, I would not have bought a car on credit. I should have bought a house instead. Delayed gratification is a sign of maturity. Now, we've had this conversation. I am in the 3rd and 4th season about financial literacy. Why do you think financial literacy is so important to especially kids, from primary going up?
It's because money is central in everything that we do. Like, I don't know now, but when we were at school, growing up grade 1 up to 7, then form 1 up to form 4, our curriculum, which we had that time, it did not talk anything to do with financial literacy. But everything we do involves money. Me coming here, it took me money. You having a breakfast, that beautiful blouse you are wearing, you have to pay money. You're nice yesterday, you have to pay money.
Yes.
So money is central to everything that we do. So the subject of financial literacy is very, very important.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Simba, for coming through and, celebrating
You're
young
welcome.
people. Now, today we were obviously, just talking to young people who are celebrating young people in their different platforms. And we wish you all the best. And we'll definitely be at the book launch of Tatenda.
Thank you, Yenny.
Thank you to Upenyu and Paul for coming through. Thank you to Simba. And thank you to all our viewers. Now you can reach us on www.orbit-international.org, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. See you next time.